Welcome back to 8 Days of the Witcher. This is day number 3. The title of this episode is What is Lost? This is Sean.
And this is Chris.
And guys, we are Dad and Rock. We do a ton of these after shows. We've done them for Ted Lasso and a lot of the Marvel shows in the past. This is our first bingeable Netflix show that we're doing basically 8 straight days because they, dropped all 8 episodes at once. So
Yeah.
it seemed like the best way to do it. We've got eight episodes in 8 days, and today we're day number 3 talking about what is lost.
There we go. And we're picking one storyline from each show just because of time crunch.
Yeah.
So this one here, we're going to go ahead and follow Gerald and Cirilla.
Yeah. And I'm always wondering, is it Gerald or Gerald?
Oh, you know what? I was correct. I apologize. I was corrected by one of our viewers. It's a hard G. So it's Gerald.
Oh, it's Gerald. Okay,
it's Gerald. They were very clear about it, and I got.
I've been saying it wrong too. Yeah, so it's going to be a struggle for me to try to switch it up here.
Yeah, I understood the assignment. No.
Yeah. So yeah, last episode yesterday we talked about Yennifer. We caught up with her storyline. So we're going to go back here to Gerald and Cirilla, who, the last time we knew they were heading to basically there's a specific name for this town, which was the episode title last time, Kaer Morhen, I think, which is kind of like the hometown or the headquarters of the Witcher.
It's like a beaten up castle that they just kind of come winter. They go home, they lick their wounds, have some drinks, have some fun,
Yeah.
Some camaraderie.
Right.
Yeah. And then come spring, they kind of go out and they do their thing again.
Yeah. So last episode, Geralt and Cirilla, they actually made it home. They made it to their destination. They found maybe 12 other Witchers or so. There's not many of them.
Yeah, she asked if there's how many there were. He said 20-ish, maybe.
Yeah, we'll see how many it is this time, and it seems to be less.
Yeah, it seems like there's a handful, maybe 10.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
one of which is his mentor, though, Vesemir. First time we've met him. Basically, this is almost like a father figure to Geralt, a Witcher that trained him to be a Witcher, and so far he's been a cool character.
The wolf is home. That's the way. Yeah. That's how they went ahead and they welcomed Geralt home, which was pretty cool the way they did it. And you can see, when he first walked in, they were all like going to give him a hard time,
right?
And then it immediately melted away, and they were all really happy to see him, which was it's one of those things you walk into a room with all your like say army buddies, and they're like,
yeah,
oh. About time, and then everyone melts and they're happy to see you. So,
what's funny is that I had this assumption that all Witchers were going to have this very stoic, kind of quiet, grumbly demeanor that Geralt has. I thought maybe that was just a part of what they beat out of you when you're growing up as a young Witcher. But no, it just seems that Geralt seems to be the one that has a stick up his butt at all times.
At all times, yeah. he's always on alert.
Yeah. These other ones are fairly, they're fun. They're bringing
drinking, telling bad jokes.
Yeah. One of which is a Witcher by the name of Eskel. He came in a little bit late. He was the last to arrive. And he brought in the hand of this monster called a Leshy, which is like this big tree monster that he apparently defeated recently. Although throughout the episode, you get the feeling that he's not quite himself.
Yeah, they gave him a hard time for that because he knows how to kill him.
Yeah,
I've been fighting him for like 3 hours. I had all these potions I had to take to continue fighting. Right. Like, fire to the heart will kill that thing. It's like, yeah, I know at the end.
Yeah, why did it take you so long then?
Yeah, exactly. So there was a lot of fun bashing of it, fun poking, with what's going on. And then he realizes Cirilla is in the room.
Yeah.
And he walks over to her and kind of gives her a hard time, which I can see that going sideways. I can see,
sure.
Bringing an outsider in, a young female in, and it is just going upside down.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to be the most appropriate place for a former princess, and they make her very aware of that if she wasn't already. But yeah, just to kind of like condense the remainder of that episode, this Eskel Witcher, he got infected or whatever during this fight. This Leshy, basically he becomes a Leshy by the end of the episode.
And they've never seen this before.
No, they never have.
This is something new to them that they're like, this is impossible. This isn't something happened.
Yeah.
He was, gonna do the dirty with one of these, brothel women that showed up.
And he had a big
And
wound on his shoulder that eventually this twig pops out, and next time you see him, he's become full-on tree monster.
yeah, dude, and it's crazy on how he's like just slinging his vines around,
Yeah.
the works.
Yeah. So all in all, Geralt has to put him down. It's one of his brothers, but he was a threat to the other Witchers. He was a threat to the women, including Cirilla there in the
Yeah.
castle. So
But
he
it
had to
wasn't
bring him
just that.
down.
He had Vesemir. He had Vesemir
Yeah,
by the
he
neck, and
did.
he was choking Vesemir out.
Yep.
And then I didn't know Geralt had the ability to all of a sudden light his sword on fire, essentially, just kind of heat it
Yeah.
up. And
Yeah.
when he did that, and he just kind of lunged towards him and stabbed him right in the chest or the heart or wherever it was,
Right.
and that was that. You can tell it was painful for him.
Yeah.
I mean, he had to basically kill one of his brothers,
To
and
protect his mentor. Yeah.
yeah, and immediately Vesemir was like, I understood, and you did what you had to do.
Yeah. It was basically him or me
Yeah,
in that moment. Yeah. So that's how that episode went. And by the end of the episode, Cirilla is like wants to train. She doesn't want to be a damsel in distress,
yeah.
constantly hiding in a dark room, waiting for the hero Witcher to take care of things. She wants to be able to defend herself. And Geralt kind of agrees by the
Yeah,
end, and he
he
starts a
hands her
training.
this like the wooden sword,
Mm-hmm.
and she's like beating up on this like straw dummy, and
Yeah.
she's having a hard time. She's not keeping her balance. I
Right.
mean, she's pushing herself and pushing herself, and Geralt is like, you got to okay, you need to take a break. You're pushing too far. You're pushing
Yeah.
too hard. The more you push, I mean, the sloppier you're going to get. Essentially, I mean, that's what he's saying without telling her that. And she doesn't want to stop. She is very, very strong-willed.
Oh, for
And
sure. And she
and
continues to push herself really
yeah,
hard in episode 3 here. So yeah, when we open up, she's training again with Geralt. She's a little bit better. You can see there's been some progress there.
yeah,
But still she's kind of pushing herself way hard. Geralt takes a break to head back to Vesemir. And on the way, he has this little bit of a flashback. I think this scene is meant for us as the viewer to
yeah.
see Esker how he was before that transition. He was just like a heck of a nice guy. Seemed like he was just
And
a
it
young,
looks like they were great friends.
yeah,
And that's why you kind of get the feeling, and that's when you get the heartache
yeah,
from Geralt. Like that's when you can feel what really just transpired, because you really don't get it in the battle when it's happening.
yeah.
He did what he had to do, and we're used to seeing him battle monsters and and walk away from them. But this one here, it was a whole different level. There was a whole different level of like hurt and emotion, and we're seeing a lot of that out of him this season when it
And it's
comes
funny
to
as a character because he's so stoic and such like a statue that we're never going to see him break down and cry and like weep or scream or yell or grieve the way you might see other
Mhm.
characters. We have to get this information from flashbacks, from dialogue that he says.
Yeah,
Even at the episode, with his buddy the warthog, in episode 1, where he's talking about how he just lost basically the love of his life a few days ago, and his buddy asks him, how are you not heartbroken? And he says, well, how do you know I'm not?
how do you know I'm not? Yeah,
Yeah. So it's one of these things where it's a great character, man. But yeah, so we see this flashback, but then he continues and he meets up with Vesemir, who's basically doing kind of a CSI Witcher
autopsy.
autopsy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean that's and Geralt was like, we got to let Eskel rest.
Yeah.
We got to stop. And Vesemir even pushes back. It's like, this has never happened before. We have to know what happened. We got to know why the impossible was possible in this case.
Yeah.
And then Geralt once again, pushes back again. We have to let Eskel rest.
Yeah, but you see both sides of this thing because with the way Vesemir feels is that it almost if something has changed in the world where this monster was able to turn one of his own, one of his pupils, one of his almost like sons
Yeah.
into a monster that they would have to put down, then he's lost sight of something. Like he's missed something.
Well, we
And
find out in that flashback, both Eskel and Geralt were both mentored by Vesemir. So basically, they were
yeah,
raised by Vesemir.
right.
So one of Vesemir's children would just basically died in front of him,
Yeah.
and he was infected by something that they didn't know what can happen.
And he tells Geralt, you would do the same for any son of yours. You would go, hell or high water, you would find out what happened.
Okay, guys, if you're still here with us, thanks for joining us. This is the 8 Days of Witcher. We're going to be putting out 8 consecutive days of content of what you're watching right here. So if you enjoy this, please go ahead, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that little bell so you know when we pop up with new content. And we're going to go ahead and continue here talking about, Gerald and Eskel here.
Yeah, so we are on day 3. So later in this episode, we get a couple of other Witchers here by the name of Cohen and Lambert. They're a couple of guys just kind of eating, drinking by the table. They're giving Cirilla a hard time. Lambert especially, I don't think he's a big fan of Cirilla being there. At least that's what it seems like at first. I don't know if maybe he has ulterior motives. Maybe he sees potential in Cirilla and decides this obstacle course might be the best way to beat it out of her.
He may be able to sense the same thing that Gerald does.
Yeah.
They may have that same ability. Like, oh, something, if I push you hard enough, you're going to do something. You're going to show everyone why you actually belong here. You're not scared where you're at.
Yeah, and compared to Lambert, Gerald seems to be holding back a little bit. Gerald seems to be the one being like, I need to be the one to protect you, as opposed to me giving you the tools so you can protect yourself. So Cohen and Lambert, they drag Cirilla out to this, I put in the notes here, this Witcher wipeout obstacle course.
When I read that, dude, you got a belly laugh out of me.
Witcher that's what it was. It was like American Ninja Warrior. It was crazy.
Dude, yeah, but it was it's spot on.
Yeah.
And when you see it, the first thing, she's walking out and trying to dodge those things that are going back and forth. I'm like, okay,
right.
That shouldn't be too difficult for her to do. Then I didn't realize the bridge that she was going to step on was going to move. I was like, okay, this got a little more difficult.
And then
I thought she was going to get at least a couple in.
Yeah.
No, she got drilled immediately.
Yeah. And she takes a hard fall. These things are not light. They're made of wood, metal. She's getting scrapes, cuts, bruises, and she keeps pushing herself to learn this obstacle course and keep going.
Yeah.
And I think she's earning some respect, some points with the Witchers that are watching her down on the ground.
The more she does it, even they're like, oh girl, you still want, princess, you still want to be a Witcher?
Right.
They're really sticking the knife in and twisting.
Yeah.
Dude, looking back on it and us talking about it, they knew exactly what they were doing. It's almost like they were doing to her what was done to them when they were her age.
Exactly. That's what Gerald's talked about this whole time when he was a young Witcher, how he was basically beaten into him, everything was, but she's like game. She wants to be able to defend herself, considering her history and everything she's gone through since leaving Centrilla.
Oh, absolutely. You can understand it.
Yeah.
But this is meant for Witchers.
Right.
She's just a mere, as far as everyone knows, and we know a little different, but as far as they know, she's just a mere little princess that, she gets hit too hard, she's not coming back.
Exactly. Yeah. So as she's learning this obstacle course, Geralt is still with Vesemir. They go and lay Esker to rest in this cave, and as they're leaving, this pack of wolves come up, and I don't know if this is typical, if this is the Witcher way of going out.
I think it is. I think it has some type of connection, because when they said, the wolf is home, when they were referring to Gerald, I believe that's more of a pack name, or just a name for them in general.
Yeah.
And when the wolves come, they go ahead and they're the ones that, instead of burning the bodies like we see in a lot of other, sci-fi type movies.
Yeah.
Or fantasy type movies, this is their way of saying goodbye.
Yeah, or their way of going back to the earth, ashes to ashes, dust to dust, by becoming.
Or we can even go as far as saying all these wolves are actually past Witchers.
Oh, that's a leap. You think so?
It's something that came to mind, but you know what? That I don't think it's too far of a leap.
In these fantasy shows, you just never know. I
think that you know what? If I'm onto something, guys, and you know it, just give me a wink in the comments.
Yeah, exactly. So Geralt, he has a conversation after they leave. He has a conversation with Vesemir, and he's he apologizes basically, look, I'm so sorry that I had to be the one to put him down. But Vesemir understands, he knew right away, and he basically told Geralt that he didn't need to apologize for it or feel bad in any way. They're both on the same page. It had to be done.
That's got to make Geralt feel better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think there was an immediate guilt when he did it. And
right.
Even his fellow Witchers are giving him a hard time.
Yeah.
About it.
Yeah, they were pretty bitter about it. And they made it known.
Yeah,
They
you're
were
real
vocal.
quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they come about this obstacle course that, Gerald, you would imagine, like, where's Cirilla? He finds her, and she's like getting far into this obstacle course. Like, you could tell she's made some progress.
Well, you can tell she got her butt kicked a few times too.
Yeah, that's
More
true.
more
Yeah.
than a few times. I mean, that one thing that spun and it had like the spears almost kind of like on it.
Yeah.
No, I'm not game for that.
No, but she started to get the timing down. She started to figure out which ones she could like hop over and like bend underneath. So she makes it just all the way to the very end of this obstacle course, and then she has to make a final jump, which she doesn't land correctly, and she ends up falling to the ground. But that was it. In my books, she completed the thing,
Yeah.
but according to Gerald, she was like, "Oh, so close."
But you can see the smile in Cohen.
Oh,
He
sure.
kind of he was like he was watching intently.
Yeah.
And even Lambert. I mean, they were no longer giving her a hard time.
No, they were cheering her on.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
were impressed and they wanted her to complete it.
Right.
And then I wasn't sure what the reaction of Gerald was going to be when he walked up. I didn't
Right.
know if he was going to be pissed. I didn't know if he was going to be impressed. He gave her a hard time.
He did. He did give her a
But
hard
I think
time.
it's the hard time, almost like a hard time a father would give, a child. Like,
It's both, right? He's both impressed and he's upset that she's pushing herself so hard.
and he gave her an explanation why later. It's like, they're witchers. If they get their head crushed, the few things here, a few things there, and the majority of the time they're going to be fine.
Yeah.
She doesn't have that, that luxury.
Yeah.
If something goes bad, something goes bad.
Yeah. The potions and the poultices and the spells will work on them. That won't work on her. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, that was an apt point by Gerald for sure. And he tells her kind of like in a fatherly way, like, just don't overdo it.
Yeah. Well, we see after all that takes place, we see Cohen now training her in the hall.
Right.
I mean, he's telling her why you're losing your balance. You're looking down, look up, and you won't lose your balance. So it's almost like just that training. We love a good training montage.
We do.
That training montage essentially was her gaining the respect of everybody else within, let's just say, Witcher HQ. And now they're all willing to accept and help her kind of in her training, where Gerald may be lacking.
Yeah, and it's funny that Gerald has that. There's this dynamic here because it's like all the other Witchers seem to be cheering her on, like they see the value and they want to assist her in what she wants to get done. And it seems like Gerald is the only one kind of like slowing the roll a little bit. And they have a conversation about it in her room, just to the extent of that discrepancy there.
Yeah, and she refers to something that he said earlier in a past episode about fear and not running from it.
Yeah.
And this is how he kind of addressed that with her.
You said we catch fear. That you have to face it, we mustn't just give up.
That's right. But you have to train first.
Then let me train.
I am.
No, you're not. Not enough. I want to be a great fighter. And not just against sacks of straw.
Yeah. And he says after that, he says, I've known a ton of great fighters. You know where they're all at now? She's like, where? And in the cemetery.
And she gives him that look only a father that has a daughter knows. She looked at him, stood up, and stormed off. I'm like,
storms right out, slams the door, and he's left alone in that room.
He's kind of like, yeah. And I think he has zero F's to give about making her angry. When it comes to keeping her safe,
yeah,
he doesn't care. You can walk around, you can pound, you can stomp your feet, you can slam any door you want.
Yep.
I have final say.
Yeah, like we mentioned before, I mean, it's his role to keep her safe, even if that means keeping her safe from herself, which which he's considering now. So that's where they leave it. Geralt stays in the room, and as he's looking in the room, he finds something strange in the wall. He digs a little bit. It's like this root growing out of the wall, and he digs into it, and does it end up being a lesser hand or arm, or I was a little confused what that was.
That, yeah, but it was also holding the crest of the city she came from.
Sintra.
because she
Okay.
was even holding it at one point.
Yeah.
So she didn't have it. It was in the wall, and that Leshy type hand had it within the wall. So I don't know if it was something going back to the whole Eskel battle, and
Mm-hmm.
it was just kind of left over and it was there, or if it's more, things I need to worry about, because we didn't even talk about the vision she had. She had a vision of like the castle there engulfed in flames and battle or something happening.
Yeah.
And she shut down and it cut off and they kind of moved on.
Yeah, she's had a couple of visions, a couple of flashes, especially in this episode. And Gerald, after he sees the Leshy arm in her room, he asks her, he's like, when you have these visions, what is it that you see? What is it that you feel? And she basically tells him that she feels like she's being pulled into the woods. So they head out there. He lets Cirilla kind of be his guide as a little bit of a divining rod here to find out where this energy is coming from.
And dude, they find that Eskel's witch, Leashy. They
Yeah,
find it standing in the woods because she's like, "Oh, we're getting close," or something. She's like, "I'm getting some weird feelings."
yeah. And this was so crazy because they fight for like maybe 7 seconds before this other monster shows up and completely rips the Leshy in half.
Yeah, dude, took him out.
Yeah,
I mean, like, and it wasn't the fire or anything. Basically, it was okay, lack of a better way, badass.
yeah.
These two creatures were furious.
Oh, they're great.
Oh, it's
Just the
so cool.
effects. Yeah. Really well done. This second one was really ugly. It looked like had like horns of a goat, but it moved around like a giant centipede, and it had like human arms coming out of its chest. It was
Yeah.
wicked.
Yeah, and
It
I
was
liked
gross.
how like Gerald looked at her and was like, "Run,"
Yeah.
and she just, "Yes, sir."
Yeah, she did. She does it.
She
Goes.
took off.
She did. She hides behind a rock. Eventually, this monster does find her, though, and it corners her in this little crevice, and it looks like it's about to attack her, but it pauses long enough for Geralt to come down with the sword and decapitate
Now,
the
see,
thing.
what I was waiting for was her to scream.
Right.
I thought she was going to scream and basically blast this thing into pieces,
Yeah.
and then the episode would have ended with Gerald seeing it happen.
Yeah.
Like he would have then witnessed some of her power. So that's what I thought happened, but then he pulled the whole zipper thing down the back.
Yeah.
Move.
So I have a question for you. So we're 3 episodes deep into season 2. So far, we've had 3 separate monsters that have taken a shining to Cirilla. The first one was that vampire kind of lady creature who was very interested in Cirilla. Didn't attack her, by the way.
No, she's seen her as an equal.
She sensed some sort of mysterious, she's very curious about her. We see, this Leshy monster that has, have it part of itself in her bedroom holding the Sintra flag, had some sort of a pull towards her to bring her into the woods. And then this third monster, which was chasing her, but ultimately doesn't, attack her, doesn't eat her. It kind of hesitates.
Yeah.
What's going on with these monsters and Cirilla? Like, is she inadvertently drawing them to her, or are they sensing the power emanating from her and are curious about it? Like, is there something going on, or am I just reading this incorrectly?
It's hard telling.
Yeah.
I mean, that one in episode 1, I think that was there wanted to be a friendship or something there, because they were kind of equal, not equal power, but they were both not normal, and one knew it. The Leashy, I don't know about the Leashy, honestly, because I didn't see the connection really until we started talking about the hands in the wall and the colors of Sintra and anything down those lines. There may be something to it. They may be being pulled to her.
Yeah,
and that may be what draws to the her vision of the battle taking place there at Kalamoar, or what's your HQ?
Karamohan, or something along those lines.
Yeah, we're going to get slaughtered for that.
I know. Please correct us. We like to be corrected.
But yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of the line that we're going to be going right now.
That's going to do it for day 3 of The Witcher season 2. Yeah, join us back here tomorrow. We're going to be talking about episode 4 on day 4 of the 8 Days of the Witcher. We're going to be doing this through the season finale, of course. And after this, we're going to be doing the Book of Boba Fett later after Christmas time. So be sure to, come back for that. And check out dadandrock.com and our page on YouTube. Be sure to like and subscribe. And we'll continue to go through the adventures of Gerald here.
Okay, Sean. So what are you going to do now?
Toss a coin to your Witcher.